That Note with Parker Whirling.
Ben Strawn, we got you on the pod. I'm excited to talk about your music. I'm excited to talk about Memories, your newest song, which came out, April 10th? I think.
That sounds right.
April 10th sounds right. Your album, Splendid. A lot of good tunes I got to catch up on over the last few days since we decided to do this.
Cool.
But before we get into that, why don't we talk about the album you picked from my vinyl collection, which, as you pointed out, is the only canceled artist I have.
Right.
Ryan Adams, Prisoner. This album is a very good album.
Yes.
But what made you choose Ryan Adams' Prisoner?
Well, I think I've been just currently, I have. Yes.
I'll show it to the camera for a second so
that.
people know I'm not lying that I have this.
I've kind of just been going through down memory lane of just listening to stuff that inspired me a few years ago. And Prisoner was a huge album for me personally, right when I wrote Seeing Color, which is my first album. I listened to that a lot. I was working full time at my dad's nursing home, and I would go to Barnes and Noble every morning, and I would listen to Prisoner, and I would write down lyrics that I liked from it. And people had told me about Ryan Adams previously, and I just didn't really. He's one of those artists that it's kind of like Bob Dylan or things like that. You hear about it and you're like, I'm just not really into it. And then it just clicks and then you're just into everything. And that was kind of what it was for me. But I just think the songwriting on that album is so great. And I was going through a lot personally then. And so his tone and just point of view was what I needed in that season of my life. And now I know that he was probably the problem.
Yeah.
So it shifted a lot since then. But just goes to show that just good art. I think that album it's probably one of my favorites, and it'll just forever have an impact on me. It's just a very that time in my life. Listening to Prisoner was a very visceral experience for me. So
Totally. I love when an album can define an era of your life in a way where you listen back to it and it takes you immediately back to a certain place. And there's something awesome about, I always use this reference, Radiohead. I've probably said it every podcast episode. That's my favorite band. And that's a band that I've gotten into, or I got into when I was in high school, late high school. And thankfully, I've always had them around, and they've always been a band that I love. So when I listen to them, it doesn't take me back to a certain place necessarily. But there are some bands and there are some albums that as soon as I put it on, I'm back in Los Angeles, in my, studio apartment that's actually a garage. And all these albums that can kind of take you back to a very specific place have a special place in my heart.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's what, because people ask me who my favorite artists are, or what my favorite albums are, and really it's just more of a feeling than technical proficiency, because there's some that's oh yeah, this is the best album of all time or whatever because of the way it was performed and the songwriting and all that kind of stuff. But for me, it's what makes me feel the most in touch with myself. That's how I answer that question, I guess. And that is on the list.
That's great. So. Was there anything else by him that if I had, you would have maybe picked that one? Gold? That was my,
I'd probably Prisoner, honestly. I like a lot of his music, but that album I listened to top to bottom a lot.
See, that's funny because even though I have it, I didn't buy this album. My friend bought it for me because she knew I was really into Gold, that album.
Yeah, great album.
And then I listened to this and was like, oh, whoa, the production on this is crazy and very different and very spacey and kind of not garage rock, but a little rockier than the folky leanings of Gold. Yeah. So I was really into it. The album cover is sick as well.
Yeah.
But I really only listened to it once or twice just because it wasn't something even on my radar until she got it for me. But I do really enjoy it, and maybe now I'll listen to it again after the pod. But I was starting to tell you my Ryan Adams story.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll save it for the podcast. I don't think I've ever told it. But I just had like a very awkward meeting with him in LA when I was there, like my first year, and I was very bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and like I've been acting for a long time, so I've met like actors who are famous, but I've never met musicians who I really looked up to and are famous. And for whatever reason, I will always be more I'll always be more shell-shocked with musicians.
Yeah.
And I was with my girlfriend at the time, and we were at this restaurant, and this dude was in front of us, and he had like a jean jacket with like 100 pins on the back.
I wanted to get I got into patches and pins
and
stuff because of
you know exactly what I'm talking about. And he had like kind of long red hair and looked disheveled, and I'm like, I literally looked at her, I'm like, this guy's trying to be Ryan Adams. And then at some point he turned around, I was like, oh shit, that's Ryan Adams. So I was like, I have to say something, which I didn't have to say anything, by the way, but I felt like I had to.
Yeah.
And him and his friends were leaving, and he was in the back, like he was in the back of the group. So as he was leaving, I just kind of like was like, hey, Ryan?
Question mark.
And he turned around and he was like, yeah. And I was like, Ryan Adams? And he's just like, and as he's saying this, he doesn't stop. He's still walking away from me. And by this point, he's like at the door, like the door's open, and all of his friends turn around and they're all staring at me. And I just go, you're cool, great. And he's like, thanks. And he just left. Yeah. And that was it. And I'm like, I'm a fucking asshole, dude. I can't believe I just did that. I felt so stupid. But, you know.
Dude, I respect it.
I shot my shot.
You shot your shot.
Shoot or shoot, man.
Yes.
But it's okay. And then I heard about, he sucks later. And I'm like, all right, now I don't feel as bad.
Yeah.
But I still felt like kind of a doofus doing all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now don't bother celebrities. Let them live their life. Even if they are kind of bad people. But anyway.
Have you seen anybody like that around Atlanta? Like, have you had any like celebrity interactions around here?
It's funny because I've talked about this with people recently, is like how the Stranger Kids themes. Or Stranger Things kids, thank you. Oh my God. Are like kind of like a meme to Atlanta.
Yeah. They're
in the way that they're not anywhere else, because
they're everywhere around here.
So you always see them in like Cabbagetown or Little Five, right. But I actually got to work with Natalia Dyer, who plays Nancy on a film like in 2018.
Oh, cool. So
I've run into her, and it's like normal because I know her,
right? Not
that well at all, but
you've been around her.
I've been around her. Like but what was one time I went to a McGee show, who we were talking about before this podcast, and she was there. So I said, what's up? And she was with Joe Keery, who I'm like a huge nerd about.
Same.
I'm such a Joe fan, but he was like 2 seats away from her. So I just did not feel like I could say anything to him, because it would have been really awkward, like stretching my hand over to like shake his hand 2 seats away. Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? If I'm ever going to meet him, I'll meet him in a normal way properly, where I don't make myself look like an asshole.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Have you?
I met Woody Harrelson.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. That was cool. Well, I don't know if maybe meet is the wrong word. He has a house in Virginia Highland.
Oh.
That he like rents out to like people that come and shoot movies here.
Okay.
So
I'm just thinking like Airbnb hosts.
Yeah, pretty much.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah. But he was just on a walk around the neighborhood, and I was like, I just got home from my shift at the coffee shop, and I got out, and he was just walking by, and I didn't realize who he was. I just thought it was some guy. So I got out and was like, hey, how's it going? And he was like, hey man, how are you doing? And I was like, oh, it's Woody.
Like True Detective. Oh my God.
Yeah. So that was cool. my Kaylee, my wife, has met more people because she works or used to work at the bookstore in Virginia Highland.
Oh, cool.
And so like Owen Wilson and Susan Sarandon and like Ana de Armas came in, and like she's talked with all of them, and so that's really cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah. She was like, the Ana de Armas thing was huge because Knives Out's like one of my favorite movies.
Oh yeah.
And so like we watch that every year. That's for some reason become like our one of our like Christmas watches. It just feels so like it's such a cozy movie.
I've never seen it. And
It's really good.
I know I would love it.
Yeah, it's great.
I remember when it came out, I thought like this is not something I would enjoy. Like, I don't know, sometimes like big cast movies that are super British leaning, I'm like, I feel like they're just going to lean into this Britishness of it.
Yeah. Well, the only British person is Daniel Craig, but he kind of talks like Foghorn Leghorn. Like he doesn't. He has like this weird like Southern drawl.
Okay. All right.
So it's not. Yeah, it's not British, but I think that is one of the reasons I like it so much is because the tone is very like it's on like a manor. It's in like set in like a manor, and the coloring and everything of the movie is very like gold. It's like golden fall. Yeah. I don't know. It's great though.
Very.
And the acting is great. The cast is like perfect. So.
It's the big cast can sometimes be like, it can make me nervous.
Yeah.
I'm like, is this just something that, a studio's packaging to like reach the biggest demographic? And maybe they are, but still doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah.
And I've heard great things about that movie, so I know I need to check it out.
It's a lot better than the second one. Second one's not very good.
Okay. I also would get that one and Kingsman confused all the time.
Yeah.
Which I think is maybe where the British thing's coming from.
Yes.
Because that's very British. But anyway, let's shifting over, segueing into your new single, Memories, which I really enjoy. It's very moody, very atmospheric, but it's still kind of at the heart of it. Feels like a nice, like sweet singer-songwriter pop song. But I love all the textures that are going on there. How did you start this song, and what made you want to put in, instruments like some saxophone, woodwinds, flutes? Like, where were you drawing inspiration from?
So I wrote it a while ago. It was during the time whenever I wrote Splendid, and I was kind of during that time, just like it was during COVID pretty much. I mean, it's when we had just moved to Atlanta, and so they were all the songs, or I guess the majority of the songs during that time were like from like my parents' perspective, because they were going through like a divorce at that time. And so I had a hard time drawing any sort of inspiration from like myself. Like I just felt very like personally numb during that time. So I was like, okay, well, like I have something going on like in my life. Like it just felt like there was a lot going on, I guess. And so that song's pretty much from their perspective, just kind of like a fictionalized story, based on true events. But yeah, it was just a very like, I had listened to a lot of Iron and Wine, and I just had learned Naked as We Came, the like acoustic part for it, and just wanted to write something in that same vein. A lot of like Jose Gonzalez and stuff like that too is what I was listening to. And so it was just a really, like my vision going into the song was just for it to be very like bare bones, like acoustic. And I actually did like a one take, like live version of the song right when we got done tracking all the Splendid songs. And so I thought maybe I would just put that out like as like on like Bandcamp as like a demo or something like that. But this year I've always really liked the lyrics of that song, and I know it's like the bridge, it's quite a bit of like it is pretty dramatic, I guess, the song. But I just felt that I needed to mark it, and as far as like textures and everything, I've always loved like brass and saxophone and stuff like that. Just pairing it with something that you wouldn't, I guess, suspect typically.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like that song just needed something to kind of take it, to add an element that you wouldn't expect. And yeah, Daniel had met somebody in Colorado that he was tracking his stuff with, and his name's Nick Weber. It was great. But we just sent him the track, and I was like, hey, can you just do texture stuff, like think Bon Iver kind of.
Totally.
And he was great. Sent it back, and it was awesome. But yeah, I mean, Memories started as acoustic song like 4 years ago. I'm really glad to put it out now. It just feels like it's kind of closed that chapter of my life.
Yeah, 4 years ago is a long time.
Yeah.
To have written it and then now put it out. Yeah. It does feel like you're kind of moving on from that chapter.
Yeah, it was originally supposed to be part of Splendid, but the tone I didn't really fit as much as I wanted it to, and so I just kind of put it on the shelf and always kind of anticipated recording it at some point, and it felt really good to do it with Daniel, out in the boonies in Dunlap, Tennessee.
Yeah, we were talking about Daniel a little bit before we started because I'm a big fan of Walter Slide, his band. And although I know of him, I've never met him, but I do know the other three, Hampton, Jaron, and Cooper. Shout out to them.
Yeah,
and
great band.
They're awesome. Great Chattanooga band. And I've just been curious about Daniel's stuff because I know he records a lot of people. He recorded the new Lighthearted songs, I think.
Yeah.
So what was it like working with him, and what's been your process like working with different producers? Have you worked with various producers?
Yeah. Daniel Nelson, him and I recorded or did my first album together in Chattanooga, Splendid, or Seeing Color. We went to church together, a little Anglican church in Chattanooga. That's where we met. And we've just been friends for a long time. And being able to do Memories with him was great because, like, it just felt like it just felt very like a very grounded experience, really comfortable. My friend Caleb was there, like, hanging out with us the whole time. Daniel and I were like the only two in the studio, like, tracking everything. And so it was just like, it was good. Like, as I've really the past couple years, I've just really wanted to focus on music being like a fun, friend focused thing. And that's like, I have worked with a few different producers, like worked with Andrew Goldring, who's an awesome producer, that we did Splendid together. John Class, he does a lot of Abby Holiday's stuff, and we did a single together in Nashville. And yeah, so I guess those three, Daniel, John, and Andrew, but all of those experiences were fantastic. But for Memories, it just felt like, I don't know, I just wanted to hang out with Daniel again.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
So, and I just want to have fun, and we get along well and think a lot alike, and it was just a really good experience. So
I think people underestimate the hang
Yeah.
aspect of a good producer.
Yeah, and all three of those guys are amazing hangs, like great people.
Right, yeah, not to say
Yeah.
they're not, but how important it is to feel comfortable in the space regardless of the audio quality.
For sure.
Which is, of course, important, but
Yeah.
being able to feel safe and feel like you're just having a good time will end up creating the energy that you can use to spend on making something really good, as
Definitely.
opposed to maybe being, I've heard so many stories doing this podcast for a long time, to talking to people who have done a lot of home recordings or have worked with smaller producers, and then they end up going to a big studio, or they spend a lot of money on a big ass studio, and they're like, oh my God, this feels sterile.
Yeah.
Like, I'm worried about the time because you're paying by the hour. And they always end up going back to the other, usually. And I feel like that's just goes to show how important that feeling of safety and feeling of I don't know, being able to just have fun in the space you're recording.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, top 3, I feel like, on, the tier of importances for me. I mean, obviously you want, like you said, somebody that is very proficient, like, production wise and engineering wise and stuff like that. That's huge. But like Daniel, it's just been really cool because like our project that we did in Chattanooga, we recorded at this, like, it's called the Soul Saving Station. It's like this like really old rundown church off Macaulay Avenue in Chattanooga. And it was like, it's called La Blanca Studios is what we called it, or what he called it. Yeah, it was just like a great time. Like we worked super hard, and like, it was just talking about visceral experiences. Like recording that album was like huge, I think, for both of us. Cause that was like the first like full length thing that he did, first full length thing that I did. He should have made way more money on that. And, but he just worked his ass off, like helping me get those songs together. And I'm just going to be forever grateful for that. So yeah, like I just want to stick with people like that, like you come up together, you work hard, and like there's just a bond, I think, forever whenever you just work on really personal songs. And so yeah, Daniel's great. All that to say.
Shout out to Daniel.
No, Daniel, awesome.
So you've written, recorded multiple albums. You've played a lot of great shows. You've collaborated with multiple people. What would you say is one or two of the biggest lessons you've learned about yourself as a songwriter?
Oh. I don't know.
No pressure.
Yeah. Well, I guess, man, these past, really, since once I put Splendid out in 2023, I I worked really hard on it. Andrew and I, we did 10 songs in 10 days at his studio. I think it turned out really well, but it was like, once I let go of it, I just got so, there was just so much imposter syndrome after that. I got so in my head about everything. And I just felt really, really I was just what am I doing this for? Just questioning everything after that. I played a release show here in Atlanta, and it went great, on paper. But whenever it was over, I just felt really bad about myself. And it was just this super weird time in my life where I felt like there should have been a lot of momentum that I had, but I just didn't want any part of it. And so I kind of had to go back to the drawing board and realizing what am I doing music for? Is it just because I think I should, or is it because I want people to think I'm cool? Do I want to get popular? It was just all these vain, a lot of vanity that I was carrying around. And so I was just these things are not sustainable as an artist. I can't just run off this wanting to get affirmation from people and think that that's going to fuel good creativity and lasting art and that kind of thing. So all that to say, the past couple of years, I've just really had to reframe why I wanted to do music. And I took last year pretty much all the way off, and I've just had to focus a lot more on is this fun? Is this enjoyable for me? Not thinking about anyone else's perception of me as a person. Do I like doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And so I played a lot at churches and stuff at church, and I just wanted to just get back to the music and not have it be self-serving in any way. And that was huge for me because I just want music to be something that I do regardless of like putting songs out, or like I just want to play guitar in my room. I want to listen to it. And so all that to say, like, songwriting for me, the biggest thing I think that fuels it is like feeling comfortable in my personal life, and it's born out of like being a fan of music itself. Like, that's one of the reasons I've been going back and listening to a lot of stuff during that I was listening to writing Seeing Color, was because I was in like a really good headspace at that point. Like, I was a big fan of a lot of different musicians. I wasn't like listening to it just to draw inspiration. I was just listening to it because I liked it. And now I'm feeling myself re-entering that frame of mind again, which is really good. Because speaking of Joe, like, I'm a huge Joe fan, and he has really brought that like fandom back into my life. Like, I was so stoked for his album to come out. Like, my wife and I got pre-sale for his tickets here in Atlanta.
Wait, does it already happen?
Well, we signed
Pre-sale?
up. No, it's I think Monday.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I signed up for like the notification or whatever.
Yeah,
okay.
we did too, but
I was like, you almost gave me a heart attack for a moment.
no, it's not open yet. But yeah, I just have to get back to just the love of music itself, and not the like chase of being a well-known artist, you know. So
That's a great answer.
yeah, that was a really roundabout way of
That's
answering that, but
I've talked about that with, multiple artists on here, including Zach Butler. We sort of touched on the same subject about what are you trying to get out of music. And of course, with any art, and especially music, I think, at least when I was a kid, you do look up to the guy or the girl on stage rocking out, and all the screaming fans and the fame and the money, and that's what you are kind of enticed by maybe at first, or at least it's part of it. And then you start making music, you start playing shows, you start putting out songs that don't do the numbers you want, you start playing shows to no one or people who are not listening, and then you put yourself through those important moments that make you think, is this what I want to do? This is not what I was maybe hoping for. And it does make you go back to the drawing board and ask yourself if it's something you enjoy doing, regardless of any of the vanity, the things that come with that. And I think at the end of the day, when you do ask yourself that question and you go through that experience, if you come out the other side saying, yes, I do want to keep doing this regardless of who's listening, maybe it's just me, then you're going to end up making better things because you've come to that realization that this is something I love for the sake of loving it.
yeah,
And it doesn't have, like, no one could ever listen to this, and it brings me joy. And I think that's when your headspace changes. At least that's how it was for me.
yeah, definitely. It's been so hard for me to get to that point, man. Like, I just haven't ever been there. I think until now, maybe.
Yeah, and it comes and goes too.
Yeah, and I'm somebody though that's so obsessed with with being liked. Like, I want that so bad.
I feel it.
And so I just have to give it up. Like, that's the only way that I'm gonna like doing this. And like the shows that I've played, like the past year and a half or whatever, my focus has just been, the only thing that I'm trying to take away from this is having a good time playing music. And I played this show, which was a huge turning point for me a couple months ago. I went to Cleveland, Tennessee, which is where I went to college at Lee University. And in college, and Jaron has played here too, Inman Street Coffee House was like the place that like all the Lee kids played. And it was a huge like place for a lot of like songwriters that have come out of Lee. I think just to have a place to play and people people come to shows there. Inman just closed, and they were having like a farewell show. They invited me to come up there and play a few songs, and I did. And it was like in their back room that the shows were held. But it was just like all these fluorescent lights on. The sound system didn't work. Just like a bunch of, it was like my dad and my sister and my mother-in-law and her friend, and there was just like all these different like family things that would have like thrown me off just a couple years ago. But it was like everything was not as I wanted it to be, as far as like the staging, the environment, all that. So I just had to kind of play my songs unplugged to these people. And I drove up from Atlanta, it wasn't a paid thing. And I just went and played, and I had a good time, and I came back, and I was like glad I did it. And I was like, okay, if I can play this kind of thing and enjoy it, like I'm like ready to like play music again. And so I was really like super encouraged by that. I think that was like against all odds. Like I had a good time, you know?
Yeah.
And
all the variables were not good.
Yeah, not in my favor.
The fluorescent lighting is tough.
Yeah, it was rough. But I mean, I was just really grateful to be there, and it's like a very full circle moment for me too, just playing that place one last time,
and being part of something.
Yeah.
Being part of like an event where it's about celebration of a place like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I also wanted to ask you about touring, because you wrote an Instagram post pretty somewhat recently that I read, and I was like, wow, I've never felt so seen by an Instagram caption. So I wanted to read it super quick.
Okay.
Hopefully don't squirm too much while I'm reading this, but you said, I don't know how to go about booking shows outside of ATL or Chattanooga, and if I was to book something, I've functioned under a lot of fear for the past 5+ years that no one would come, and I'd look super lame and my pride would be hurt, and yada yada. Not to mention it's hard to vouch for yourself as a lesser known artist and book your own shows, because it means you'll have to crash at friends' houses, play in their living rooms, and feel like you're imposing on dear sweet people's space and time. I know these feelings are ones that many of the artists' friends have dealt with and ultimately overcome, but I still haven't been able to get over the hump. And then you go on to say you realize you love playing for people no matter the size or the location. So I wanted to ask you, because I've felt the exact same thing for a very long time. I've never done a tour. I've never really played outside of Atlanta or Athens, and I would like to.
Yeah.
But what things have happened or lessons did you learn in the last 5 years that allowed you to get to this point of just kind of doing it?
A lot of not doing it. A lot of fear. I think I just had to come to terms with that was the reason. It wasn't because like I've just thought like, well, maybe I'm just not good enough. I need to write better songs. I need to come out with more music, and then people will come to me. Like that, I was just always under the assumption that I would like get something in my email inbox that would change my life. But I've just realized like I have to do this. Like I have to just like pull myself up and try. And so that post was like I want to tour. I know that this is something that I have to do if I want to make a career out of like making songs. And over the past couple years, that's what I've realized that I wanted to do. I want to be a songwriter and like a recording artist and do this for a living somehow. And so like, yeah, the past 5-10 years, I went on a tour in like 2016, I guess it was 2016, but it was something that my buddy like planned pretty much for me. Like he did all the work, and I haven't done it since then. And I've seen so many people that I've like come up with go on tours and play shows and really start to get some serious headway in music. And I've just felt really behind and like, oh, I've been doing it just for just as long as they have. Like, why haven't I, you know, reach this next level and stuff like that. Just a lot of comparison. And so now I'm just like, all right, well, I just have to ask the people that have and ask for help and go from there. And so like, yeah, there was a lot of like making that post. I was like, oh, like, I don't know if this is going to go over very well, but I really got a lot of great feedback from it. And it was just from being honest with myself. And I know that there's people that are in the same position that I was. And it's really good to hear that you felt that same way too. Cause it's just like touring is really hard. And as somebody that, you know, you're going to go into a city and you're not going to have any draw, like who's going to come to my show? Like a bunch of people from Taiwan listen to my music. Like they're not going to come to, you know, a little coffee shop or whatever in North Carolina or, you know, how am I going to get people there? But just have to be honest with yourself about the position that you're in and just try to get something and play the best show you can. Like Medium Build is somebody that, you know, he's kind of big now, but there's a lyric or something in one of his songs where he just talks about how that show or how that band like just gave it everything that they had and how that was like really impactful for him. And I've just thought about that a lot because like there were shows that I played in Chattanooga where I was like really self-conscious because there wasn't enough people there and I was like doing it, like I was putting out music and I just expected people to show up, but I wasn't giving it my all at that time or during the show because I was like, oh, well, there should be more people here. Like I don't need to give as much of myself.
Sure.
But that's just like totally backwards because it's like, if there's 10 people there and you give everything you have, well, then those people are going to remember that show. Next time you come back, they might tell their friends, whatever, you know, it's just going to build off itself. So now I just want to put myself in those positions where like, I just get in front of people and play the best that I can and hope for the best later. And, so that post was great because I had a lot of people like Lighthearted were some people that responded and they just gave me a lot of awesome like resources and, like just super nice. Like I just underestimated how willing to help people are. I think I just thought that because music and acting, these creative careers, it's like once you get to a place, like people tend to keep things close to the vest. They're like, okay, well, I paved my way. Like you can pave your own. And I thought that is how it was going to be if I put this out. Just a lot of fear again, but people are willing to help. So I was really encouraged by that. And I'm working with like a booking agent now and booking a tour in the fall. And I just wouldn't have ever, and I'm playing I'm playing with Zach Butler and Logan Pilcher in Macon later this month and playing another show in Pensacola and playing a show in South Carolina. So like, I wouldn't have ever gotten that if I didn't just say I needed help.
Right.
So I'm glad I did it.
Me too, man. It helped me feel seen, and I'm sure a lot of other people felt the same way. And I think that things like that, you never know the kind of chain reaction you're going to set off just by being honest about how you're feeling about things like that, not only for other people, but for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm grateful that people are nice.
Totally.
Still, you know, and just willing to help. And yeah, I'm thankful for that for sure.
Do you have any advice, like one piece of advice you would give to someone who wants to book their first tour or even their first show? Let's say first show.
First show.
They've never booked a show. They don't really know what to do.
I think the thing that helped me is that I'm not in any place to give advice really, because
none of us are, but I ask anyway.
Like I think maybe just write good songs first and like record something that sounds good. That way you have something to send to like a venue.
Very good practical advice.
And they're going to be like, oh, okay, this sounds good. Like that's number one, totally. I feel like. and just like a place knowing that you are like you have something to offer is big, and then you can go from there. Because like also just like being friends with people that have like I saw something from this guy Max Helgamo. I don't know if you've listened to him.
No.
He's an awesome Nashville songwriter, but he was talking about a couple years ago, like coming up with the people in your friend group, not like just trying to make the best thing with the people that are in your immediate circle, like not trying to like identify people that are doing it and try to like break into their network, because like the immediate circle thing is going to be the most fruitful, like, and so that's I would give advice to that too. Just be like, who are your friends now? Like, who do you like? Not who do you want to be with later, but like just try to make the best thing that you can with the people that are around you, and it'll all work out.
That was great advice, dude. What the hell? I've never even thought about it like that. There is an innate urge to see yourself in some sort of like group of whoever in your mind is like, you know, your inspirations, and you're hanging out with all them. You're hanging out with Joe Keery talking about the Beatles and whatever.
Yeah.
But like, that is so true. And it kind of goes back to what you were saying about touring. Like, well, it's almost the inverse, I guess. Like for touring, you got to go to them. You got to go to the people.
Yeah,
but
right.
for you're making your own music, like you don't need to be searching for this kind of undefinable group of inspirations to, you know, be amongst if you are making music like within your community.
Yeah.
There's nobody that's going to be more hyped for your music than them, because they know you personally, they like you, I assume, and you know, you're doing these things together, and they're part of something, you're part of something with them.
Yeah.
And then people see that and want to be a part of that, whether as an artist or a spectator.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like creating your own little community. But cool. Hey, let's move on to the last 5.
Okay.
I'm just going to ask you 5 quick questions from
Okay.
this bowl here. Actually, you're going to kind of shuffle them around and pick them out.
Okay.
So
I pick them out?
Yeah, you pick them out. We'll let fate decide.
Okay.
Yeah, give him a good zhuzh. Nice. All right.
All right.
Question number 1.
Oh, this is like my nightmare question. Perfect album front to back.
Oh, man. Let's go. And for all these questions, you can name a couple. You don't have to just like pick one. It always ends up being a multiple thing.
Okay. I'll try to keep it to 5 max.
That's great.
I guess. Perfect album front to back. One album that comes to mind is Feist, Let It Die.
Absolutely.
Amazing
Is that the
album.
red
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I had
Incredible
like
album.
a phase with that album a couple of years ago. It's fantastic.
Yeah, banger. Feist, Let It Die. Bon Iver, self-titled. Like that album for me is like, if I ever feel anxious, I put that on and I just feel immediately better.
Nice.
So front to back, I always listen to it like in succession.
You're not like picking a random
Right.
song.
Man. Front to back. This will be kind of I wouldn't say perfect. Maybe I'll say I wouldn't say perfect. Close to perfect. Born and Raised, John Mayer.
Oh, nice.
I love that album. That album is like a no skips album for me.
I feel like that album has kind of surfaced as one of the more respected John Mayer albums. Just because when it came out, I was like,
It's
I
kind of
don't
mid.
want this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want this from John Mayer. I wanted John Mayer trio stuff. Like,
Yeah.
that was what I was into.
Mm-hmm.
But as I've gotten older, a lot of my friends, especially who kind of lean into like the folk pop like realm or singer songwriter realm, they always reference that one as like a favorite John Mayer album.
Yeah. That one, Blonde, Frank Ocean.
Yeah, that one was in there.
Yeah, I almost picked that.
That's a classic.
Yeah. One that's coming to my mind, the Neon Skyline, Andy Schaaf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know that one. I know what is
The
it?
Party.
Norm
Norm Great album.
and the Party.
Great
Yeah,
album.
I love Halloween Store.
Yeah,
That
awesome
song is
song.
fucking awesome.
Freaking amazing song.
Yeah,
Yeah, Neon Skyline. That's like that's one that I'll listen to front to back
cool.
every time.
I'll check that one out.
Yeah, really, really good. It's very like concept-y. Like he's interacting with this bar in Canada called the Neon Skyline, and it's just about all of his like personal stories from that.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that man loves clarinet.
He does love some clarinet.
I know. When
He
I was
plays it. He's the one playing it.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, there you go. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was listening to some of your stuff, it kind of reminded me of some Andy Schaaf and also some Algis Harding. Do you know her?
Oh, I really appreciate you saying that because her album Warm Chris was
Is that the new one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I listened to that so much whenever I wrote Splendid.
Nice.
Just very like sloppy.
Healthy Human really gave me
Oh, cool.
Harding
Oh, thank
vibes.
you, man.
Very like spacious.
Yeah, she is so cool. Like her songs are so weird, and I don't know. I loved that album. That could make that list too.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I probably will listen back to this list and be like, I should have said this, but
No, it always happens. It's
Yeah.
okay. The other person I thought of literally 10 minutes before we did this interview that I was like, oh, this kind of reminds me of Louis Prince. Do you know Louis Prince?
I know the name. I haven't listened to.
He's from Nashville.
Okay.
And he's kind of all within that scene. And I interviewed him for the
cool.
podcast
Oh, nice. Okay.
like a year and a half, 2 years ago. But I think you'd be into it. It's like he kind of has that spacious feel, like the way Algis Harding, but it's a little more like McGee-esque. It's kind of like a combination of the two.
Okay.
Cool. But yeah, just a little something for you to take home there.
Great. Right.
Cool. Question number 2.
Number 2. Best album covers. Best album covers, man. I don't freaking know.
This is a tough one.
You know who has a really great album cover is Kings of Convenience.
I don't know.
Their
them.
last album, they're like playing chess in like the middle of this like town square, and it's just like the most perfect picture. And that's another album that I love that I listened to a lot whenever I was writing Splendid was King's Convenience. Really cool. I can't even remember the name of the album. I did know it, but I'm blanking on it now. But really awesome album cover. It's crazy because like album covers for me, that was the best way that I found that was like I was in my bag finding music was on iTunes.
Oh yeah.
Was like listening to an album and then in the related like
Totally.
I was like, which album cover is cool?
I'm the same way.
And that's how I found so much great stuff like in high school and early college. And now it's like impossible for me to find new music because there's just so many like different ways. Like on like people ask me what I'm listening to and I just can never answer that question.
Well, that might be one of the questions
Because
in the fucking bowl, dude.
But yeah, whenever I was able to see it laid out in front of me, it was easier. But if I like see names and stuff like that, it's so much harder. What is another great album cover?
But yeah, multiple times already in this interview, I've been like, you said the Feist album, like, oh, the red one. Like I am so like visual when it comes to like trying to remember certain album like names. I just think about whatever the album cover is.
Yeah,
because it's almost always like it's rare for me to find an album that I love, but I don't really fuck with the album cover.
Yeah.
And then maybe sometimes it becomes Stockholm Syndrome and I end up liking it because I like the album so much.
I'll say like maybe not all time, but one that I really liked recently is the new Joe album cover.
Yeah.
I think it's so cool.
So sick.
Yeah.
It's in an age of like very minimalist graphic design. It is cool to see someone.
There's like so much going on.
Totally. Like
That's
that
cool.
Fleet Foxes album cover.
Yeah.
Where there's just all the weird shit happening in the painting.
Yeah. Super cool.
But yeah, I love the Joe one. Cool. Let's do question number 3.
Okay. We'll go yellow. Least favorite song / album from your favorite artist? Ooh, that's a good question.
It's like the one slightly negative question I have. I try to keep it positive,
Favorite
but
artist. Least favorite album. I'm trying to think of who my favorite artist is.
yeah, you could think
/are.
of, you know,
That's the toughest part of this.
right. And I'm thinking, you know, like
I made a list
yeah.
before I came.
It doesn't have
This
to
is
be-
going to be handy, I think.
Totally, yeah. You're allowed to pull up your Spotify. A lot of people they're like, "Can I pull it up?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's okay."
Oh gosh.
Like,
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, for example, and I've been very vocal about this, even on the Zach Butler episode where we talked about "Ram" by Paul McCartney.
Oh yeah.
And Monkberry Moon Delight. I will always skip.
He's got some weird songs,
He's got some very weird songs.
which is like cool,
Yeah,
but like some of them I'm just like I can't do this.
it's more like just intriguing that he did it,
Mm-hmm.
not palatable.
Exactly. Yeah, man, I don't know. Let me just go through some of my I think I'll always say Sufjan is one of my favorite artists.
Oh, okay.
And I'm thinking about the Sufjan albums. I mean, Carrying Lowell is like one of my favorite albums of all time. I'll say out of his, I think Age of Ads is probably my least favorite. Like I really like the ambition of it, and how it was like almost like Kanye-esque. Like it's very like maximal, like there's like a lot of noise going on with it. And it's like really cool and ambitious. And it's kind of like when Bon Iver went to his whole like 22 million phase where he was like
I love that album.
ultra robot,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Which is an awesome album.
Yeah.
But listening wise, Age of Ads, it's kind of like a labor for me. Like I'm just like, I have to be in the perfect mood for it.
Right.
And I don't really like having to decipher where I'm at emotionally too deeply to like listen to music. You know?
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah. You just want to put it on and enjoy it.
Yeah. So
Good answer.
Thanks.
All right. Number 4.
green.
Are we hitting all the colors in the rainbow?
Best / worst decade of music.
Yeah. Fire some shots out.
I think the 2000s could be the answer to both of that. Like best and worst.
For sure.
Like early 2000s, like Weezer time, you know, like there was some really bad music then. But
Absolutely.
the fact that it was that bad almost makes it great.
Yeah. There's a lot
Like-
of songs that are so horrible but nostalgic.
Yes. The nostalgia of the early 2000s is like off the charts.
Crazy.
For
Yeah.
me. So yeah, I'll say early 2000s for that.
What are some examples for best and examples for worst
Best.
in the 2000s?
Yeah.
Are you going both?
Yeah. Like,
That's pretty revolutionary. I don't think anybody's done that on this pod. Usually there's a decade that's best.
like
and a decade that's
Alanis
worst.
Morissette is like that. Was she
Yeah.
was she 90s or early 2000s?
I'm
I
sure a
think she
little
was
bit
like
of both.
straddling the line, kind of.
Yeah, depends on who you ask. Maybe.
She is so like, she was so influential in like the like indie girl like scene. And like some of her music is awesome, but it's also so much that time, you know, like it's kind of dated.
Totally.
Like that big song on TikTok right now is the Katy Perry song. You're like an Indian summer.
Oh, I never listened to that
middle
one.
of winter. I can just like tell she was like listening to Alanis Morissette hardcore.
Yeah.
Then, her, I would say like Weezer honestly is that too. Like Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Sure.
Like, Green Day.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of like pop punk stuff
Yeah.
was really big. Blink 182. Yeah.
I missed that whole phase, man.
It was fun.
I never
My
had
Chemical
it.
Romance. I
I
listened
know,
to them.
dude. Everybody seemed like they had such a great time.
Yeah, I know exactly.
I've missed it.
Yeah, so it's like you're like, it's easy to make fun of, but it's also like some of the most fun I've ever had listening to music. Was that time?
That's awesome.
So,
all right, you want to round it out here? Last question: which color?
go back to blue.
Going with the blue. Good. Those are the new ones, I think.
In the studio or playing live? Good question. I would say in the studio.
Yeah.
I really did not like playing live. I like it a lot more now, but I just really love the piecing together a song. It's like a big puzzle kind of.
Totally.
And you can just try a bunch of stuff out. And I just love honing. I love recording vocals and like tracking them a bunch of times and adding harmonies and just exploring. In the studio.
It's like you are discovering a song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't necessarily know what all the pieces are or where they fit, but you're figuring it out in real time, and then by the end, you're like, oh wow,
Yeah,
that's done.
yeah.
It's a beautiful feeling.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, Ben Strawn, thank you for coming on the pod, man. It's been a blast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, dude. I really appreciate it.
Of course, everybody needs to go check out Memories, newest song, as well as Splendid, your album. And if you have any shows coming up, you can plug it here.
Yeah, I've got I've got 2 shows in May 24th in Macon with Zach Butler, most recent.
Sweet.
I still haven't met him.
Oh, nice.
So
Cool dude.
yeah, seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, y'all hit it off.
And Logan Pilcher, another
Logan is awesome.
podcaster.
That's
or
right. Yeah,
podcast
another
guest.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're playing a show May 24th in Macon, and then I'm playing the next day just with Logan in Pensacola. And then I'm playing in Traveler's Rest, South Carolina.
Whoa.
With my friend Sawyer Norman. He's another really cool artist. Check him out. Yeah, those are the only 3 that I have on the books right now. But
Nice.
I am planning a tour in the fall, like Northeast run. We'll do like New York and Boston and Philly and stuff like that.
Sweet.
So I'm really excited about that.
Dude, me too. All right, Ben. Well, thanks again for coming on, man. It's been awesome.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
On that note, with Parker Whirling.